I wanted to share moments so I could remember in the future, or at least my kids would. Because, things get so bad and families had to come together. And I got 5 acres. So my son in law and daughter and two grandbabies want to come over here. And I said, my son, so we all be in one spot, which would be pretty cool. So it won't be like in the same house, but same land. But the craziest thing, I've heard rumors and it's pretty true. Plus, I had some work done in my house, and you can look back at the videos. I believe I showed what they did, but the guy messed up my door. He was like I guess a shade tree mechanic or a handyman, because he was handy, but he wasn't handy on doors. He was handy on the sink and light fixtures. I think the guy that's working with him, but he told me I bought too expensive door. So one of these days, I'll get it fixed, if I'm still here. But the crazy thing, these neighbors, these are kind of like the Hatfields and McCoys right here in Trenton, South Carolina. I heard they bought this property from this uncle, and they have a outlet they can get out, a pasture, and they have a driveway they have that's kind of on one of the corners of my property, like 1/5 of it, I guess. And we was walking the land, my daughter, trying to figure out where they was going to put their place, because we kind of want them on the edge of the land, so we still have woods and hopefully some peace. So we walked in the woods, and I showed them where the property marker was. Well, a truck come by and went to their property, past me, and there was a lot of gunshots coming from that direction of where their house is. So I walked through the woods, and the lady with her Jeep come up. They own some kind of jewelry store here in this area. And she said, y'all need to get off my property. And I looked at her, and I was trying to reason with her, and she just kept going. And I said, well, where's... So I stepped back, and I said, well, is this my property? I stepped back on my property out of the road. She said, yeah, your road's the property. The driveway is mine. But technically, I don't know if it is or not. But I had called the police. Just kind of shocked me, this crazy woman telling me this. And I'd heard from that guy that come work on my house that they went down the wrong property, went to their yard, and 3 or 4 people come out with guns pointing them at them off their porch. And anybody that drives in the yard, that's what they do. It's like 1950s kind of attitude. So these people are stuck in the past, and they got money, and they're crazy. They got a gate. Why don't they put the gate up? And anyway, they leave the gate open, but anybody rides down there. So they got this gate going across the road that's on the side. Now, when I first moved here, my other neighbor wanted me to make a road through the woods. He didn't want me to drive down there, but I've been landlocked. Well, now I have that road. So we're going to come off that side and be away, because I don't want my grandson going on this dirt road. And, he's only 4, but he don't listen too good. They raise him different these days. And he's got ADHD, but he's wide open. So I hate for him to be on that road and that woman or the guy or whoever come across there and just run over him, and then, all bets are off. It won't be good out here. So anyway, she said, well, I'm McAllister's or Mexikistes or something. I didn't understand what she said. But basically, she told me to get out of the road. And I called the police, and they said, you need to get it surveyed. But if they survey it, they're not going to survey the road. So you still got a question of whose road it is. So just for the sake of peace, they were talking about I wanted a road 20 foot off there, a driveway in my yard. But now I'm going to come up a little bit more, and there'll still be a lot of woods. So I'm going to let my daughter and them come a little bit more this way. I kind of wanted them to be over there, but oh well, just to keep them from the crazy people. And hopefully we can put a fence to keep the kids from running into the road. But man, it's crazy. You got crazy neighbors that act like Hatfields and McCoys. So, hopefully we'll just keep our prayers, and so she just, It's crazy. She'll probably run for Congress or something next, you know, telling me who she is. I don't know who she is. I don't care. I just know she yelling at me about being in the road. And I even told her, I said, at first, I have some walking issues. So I was walking in the woods and I about fell. So I walked on the road to keep from falling in the woods. I didn't know it was going to be a big deal. That's the first time I've met him in 3 years. I've seen him a couple times, but I've never actually ran into him. But technically, the stake at the back of the property is probably about 10 or 11 feet to that road, and it kind of goes at an angle. So really, I don't know if I own all the property to the road or not, but she says it does. But here's what's funny about it. She tells me get out of her road, her little driveway, because they have a second access. They could go from the other road because they got 200-something acres. And then she put a no trespassing sign on my tree for her road to keep out of the road. And, you're only supposed to put trespassing signs on your four corners of your property. So they're just crazy. And I said, what about if she presents, I asked the officer, she presents a gun at me. And he said, well, that'd be different. But right now, they don't want to get in the squabbles over the road and all that. So I'm going to stay out of the road just for the sake of arguments. And hopefully, it won't come to anything worse. Sometimes what I've heard or what I read in the Bible, just sorry if you don't like that, but these demons in the world cannot hurt you unless they go into an animal or a person. And that lady seems like she's full of demons. She is not loving nobody but herself and vindictive, But what's the point of being that way? You're only going to live 80 years if you're lucky, 76 or 60, You be like that, then you're going to be dead. What's the point of being so venomous? But anyway, hopefully I can be here a little bit longer, and trying this truck driving training. Kind of long video. I just want to talk about everything. I was going to make a bunch of separate ones, but when you have so much time, you don't have any time. But I'm going to learn about truck driving a little bit. And I was going for Aiken. They had a program, but they said I'm number 330. So it'll be about 5 years before I get there. And a good buddy of mine, well, a work friend, we never hung out, but we talked at work, and he made a lot of sense. He was a little bit older than me, and his health hadn't declined yet. He worked hard. He'd get tired, but he did a good job. And we got to talking sometime when we had a little moment of peace during the working cycle. And he told me he was going for truck driving at Piedmont Tech. So I remembered it. So I called Piedmont Tech, and they told me to send all this stuff to them, your 10-year driving record, what all they needed. They needed either work keys, which is a real popular test in this area, or they needed 1 semester of school. So I have a degree, and they needed a copy of the degree, and they had this big old checklist. You had to even do your student application to apply for the program, and the stuff that didn't apply for me, I left blank, but everything had to be filled out. So she filled it out. Now there's still some things I'm learning about. There's like a ELDP. I think it's like entry level driving training, something like that. And you have to do that to get your license. And I asked her about it. She said, well, that's what this program is. And normally this program is kind of crazy. But, I guess these trucks and all cost a lot. There's 12 students per class. In this one, there's 8 in the Aiken class. And then once you start doing the driving, I think you team up in 3 groups of 3. So you have to, for 2 weeks, you have to get a password and do these modules. Probably teaches you, I guess, how to, a little bit virtual training or just going over some stuff. And also about doing your safety inspection, I guess. Or maybe as part of this ELDP, or whatever it is. There's 4 initials. But I was looking at hazmat. You also have to do one for it. So you can't just go take the test. You have to do that for hazmat training, and you got to get fingerprinted. So I guess so many people are hauling bad stuff where they have the potential that's really dangerous. So they have to know who you are when you're hauling all this hazmat stuff, but you make more money. But one guy said he didn't want to drive around with a bomb attached to his butt, or anything inflammable. He didn't do it when he was younger, but he did it when he got older because he made more money and he had more experience then of driving. But yeah, man, it's crazy. And kind of start out what the day is. The day was Monday. And my wife said, she said, I kind of like having you at home. Because, I've been home since November last year, and this is October. One more month. I've been a year out of work. I work one place. I've been working the weekends at this little job, and every now and then I do something. I thought about DoorDash, but, is it worth making $20 a day after all expenses? Probably not. And I'd only be able to go like 9 o'clock at night. So no telling what you run into or I'd hit in the road. But it's crazy, man. Just trying to make it. Just sharing everything. So today, my wife wanted to go to this place in Deering, Georgia. And it might have been another little town, but all these little towns are real close together toward Appleton, Georgia. So we went all the way there, and there's a guy come out with trash, He come out kind of the building, and this place makes their own cheese. It's been there for years. It's supposed to have a real good cheeseburger made out of ground chuck. And ground chuck is different. Say a hamburger from McDonald's, it's one little patty or frozen patties, and you had to bite into them and they stay together. Well, ground chuck can stay together, but when you bite into it, it's just kind of crumbles apart in your mouth, and it's so good and juicy and fresh. And this is what these guys made. They made their own cheese. Well, the guy had health problems, and I said, man, I understand, because I'm wobbly now, and stand up too long I hurt, but I keep pushing. And, my wife wanted me to go to work all the time because I get on nerves. Well, I worked 3 weeks as a porter. She missed me because I was working 7 days. So she said she wanted me to go to work. She didn't want me to work that much. But then, they changed some things, and I said, well, this ain't worth it. So I still kept my little weekend job, and then they had a shutdown. I ended up getting 68 and a half hours because of the shutdown. And my wife said, where you at? You live here anymore? So with trucking, most time you go into trucking, I guess most all the time, you're gone for like a week at a time or 2 weeks. And, you don't, if the wheels ain't turning, you ain't making no money. Well, I've worked hard my whole life, and I've worked hours, and I don't even remember half my kids' childhood. Times off, we went places, and they want to do kid things. They didn't want to do what I wanted to do. So it's always been kind of weird. And I've been with my grandkids like a lifetime or 2 lifetimes compared to how I was with my kids. Now, my kids are adults now, and my wife, I let her stay home. So they kind of getting along with me, but they didn't really know me. So it's like a learning curve. It's like I've been gone for years because I worked. And now, I don't really have to work that hard because I've been lucky. Don't have no money, but I don't have to work that hard. But, and it kind of worked out good. But when I was making a lot of money, I spent it, just stupid stuff. And didn't really buy anything. Now I don't really care for anything. I can got like a little book or whatever, not even a laptop. And I watch TV on that. TV behind me, my wife got it for, I think, $10. Doesn't have a remote, but I got a TV. But it's on the shelf with my peanut butter and granola bars, and I got my Mountain Dews in the drawer. I was going to put some clothes in it, but I'm using it mainly for those bags, because those bags are very valuable in the country. The ones you get from Dollar General or Walmart, So we're just chilling out. We had to we had to buy another car. That's going to be a pain. And we went looking a little bit today, and a lot of cars are going for about 7, 8 grand, 10, 12. Some cars that are older than my car that got totaled, they might be 1,000 less than what the insurance said they might give us. So we don't have, some people tried to show me a car that wasn't running for about what the insurance give us. And I was like, well, I don't want a car that's not running. I want something that's running. Mine was running. So, now we gotta figure out how to get a car. And, my credit's not too good, so can't go borrow a loan, and you don't want to lose anything. So it's just trying to put what's first. And then my wife, she's so scared she's supposed to have the surgery, and my mom just had heart surgery. And there's a lot you learn by listening to other people have problems in medical, because when you're young or you're not familiar with it, you don't realize all this goes on. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Just like the gas prices always get cheaper in the wintertime, so people can always go shopping. And then they say they add ingredients to make the gas crank up at lower temperatures, so it's cheaper to make it that way. Why can't they do that all year round? But I think it's by control and design. Just sharing my thoughts. This is a random stuff, so just bear with me if you can. I know it's all over the place. But they also talk about, I was reading YouTube, and they were talking about prices. People all over the world that on this commenting, like the Netherlands and Europe, America, different parts of America, all over the place. We're all being affected right now. And I think it's grand design, or maybe it just happens to work that way, or maybe what's happening is going to happen just because of business and greed, and it's just eventually going to happen anyway. Like computer getting invented. I mean, it's just going to happen. It's not really intentional. But the price has doubled all over the world, different areas of the world. It's kind of weird, Why would the price double everywhere? You can kind of understand they're trying to control everything. It's all about control what you spend, control what you like. You get commercials, alerts, pushes all day long. And if you're susceptible to all that stuff, it's going to push you. So you have to step out of the matrix, so to speak, and make up your own mind and not let all this stuff affect you. But worry about your health and what's important. But if everybody's running around worried about their own things, you're kind of alone. And people are very sociable, and they know what to push and what attracts people. And, as I always say, follow the money. So anyway, I got to find me another vehicle. And then if I had to get this money for another vehicle, then who wants to go out? I mean, I like the DoorDash. I'm set up to go, and I might do it. But I'm not sure exactly what part of the town to start on, because it says it's hot. The whole area is hot. But where did I go to get it? And 9 o'clock at night, and see, it was only 8:20, and I hit this log. I didn't see it. I got up on it. And in the past, I had a 2009 Toyota Camry, and I was driving around doing DoorDash. And the GPS, I wasn't familiar with the area. It was dark, and it took me through the fields and everything, messing up the car. So I spent more money fixing the car and doing it. I didn't do it a lot. I think the most I made was probably $100-something a week. And I was working 2 other jobs. I worked a 40-hour job, a part-time job, and then I did this maybe 10 hours a week. So I wasn't doing it much, and, did okay for that, but just the time, what's more important? If we all lived the average man in America, I think they say it was 76, but now I heard the life expectancy is going lower, and then everybody's trying to raise retirement. Like even Nikki Haley said 65 is too young to retire. So they said most of the government spending is going toward retirement, paying that. They promise it. They knew it was going to happen, but then they didn't want to budget for it. Nobody budgets for anything. Nobody realizes you got a tomorrow and another day, and you got to prepare for it. No matter what level you're at, especially government, they just think they print more money and make it worthless, and that's why everybody's getting mad, because they're trying to get away from the dollar. That's the whole thing. It's all about money. But yeah, got to get in the car. And then weird neighbors. Man. But we're going to go to this other place. The guy said he's going to be there 2 weeks. It should be open next Monday. And we'll try to get a burger from there. And I'll try to upload some of this food we ate. And my youngest grandbaby, he got to walk today because he can't do it. My other one in there, he's all over the place. So nobody was there. He was concentrating. But it's like, I think it was Peter that when Jesus, come across the water, and he said, I want to come to you. And he said, well, come. And then he started coming to him, and it's like seeing all the water and everything started to sink. And he said, save me, Lord. Kind of like that with my little grandson. He's starting to walk, but all distractions of everything, and he'll just flop back down, So I just wanted to share that, if this video touches you or helps you with your struggles, let me know. If you watched the whole thing, I kind of wanted to just talk about what's going on. Then there's a lot to it. But if you go buy land now, it's with a trailer, it's expensive. The one had a well and septic tank, 1 acre square, and they sold it for $31,000. So if they come over here on our land, they could get it cleared. I don't know how much they're going to be able to do, but if you run over stumps with your car, it blow your tires out. So you got to have at least a 25-foot, what I think, if anybody knows, you got to have like a 25-foot driveway to go down the yard to put the trailer. And then you got to have so much cleared for your septic tank and so much cleared to put the trailer in. And then you got to connect to the power. And then I told them I would pay half a well because my son will be on it and they'll be on it. So then they won't have to charge him per month. So he'll have well for half the price and a septic tank. So say if a well, I don't know how much they are because we got to do all this stuff to find out. And it's probably going to be more than what it is now because it's probably going to take about 5 years to get all this done. And not making any money is hard to save money. So I got to figure out how to save money any time I can. Like I get 1% back on the credit card and I think it's up to $86. So I hadn't cashed that out yet, but then I got a high balance. So, that's one way to save money. If my wife passed away, I need probably $1,000 to get her cremated. She wants to be out here, and then she wants to go on a trip. And I said, well, how much we going to spend? Because she's got this surgery coming, and she flatlined last time. And I said, well, how did you flatline? I got to look it up in her chart if it's still available. Because my mom, when she had her heart valve replaced, they put a pacemaker in while she was doing the surgery. Well, they just blew up the valve in my wife's heart. So she flatlined and they had a hard time getting her back. Well, normally they put a pacemaker in there while they're doing it. So if they'd done that, she wouldn't have flatlined. So did they do something wrong? And these are supposed to be the experts. Makes you wonder on it. Maybe she was so young, they figured they didn't have a problem. And they've made her wait 23 months, almost 2 years to go back in there and blow it up again because now she builds up fluid on her heart and she can't breathe. So even if she can breathe, she's still going to have kind of a rough quality of life, but at least she'll be able to breathe. So she is scared. She's scared to have this procedure done, which I don't blame her. So she wants to go to Gatlinburg, where I proposed to her back in 1996 on this bridge, and the bridge is still there. But one place we can go, I think you can go every 6 months, which is cool, but you got to sit through with the vultures the timeshare presentation, and I got a video back about it. They wanted like $135,000 for 1 week. Then you still got to pay maintenance fees every year. Like a little, and you don't own it. You just own time to use it for that much. They're out of their mind. I didn't buy it. But they think you're going to buy it. And they get hard sell. And then they say, well, you didn't want to buy it anyway, did you? And it's like, no. And what was so bad, my beard's a little bit longer now, and I'm trying to learn how to do it, and it's curly. So this is a tip if you hadn't heard. It's the first time I heard, because a lot of these guys I've been asking, I went up to them with a beard. I said, hey, man, how'd you get your beard like that? Because they'll be having the long mountain beards. That's what I want. But I sleep on my stomach, so all at night it's going to be all crushed. They said, Daffin, it grows that way. I'm so jealous. They grow their beard. It grows that way. I'm like, man, why can't I do that? And the guy told me there's a thing, like women have curling irons. So, I've seen them before. They got this thing, and it's like it clips the hair. And I asked my wife, I said, that don't damage your hair? It won't burn off? She said, no. But what it does when it gets hot like that, women know what I'm talking about. I don't. But somehow it trains the hair how they want it to go. So if it's straight, it'll make it curly. Well, this guy told me today, now he was a character. He said if anybody bugged him, he was going to have cancer. Now, this was at the car place, because we got the rest of our stuff and had to get tag off the car. And he had this wig on, looked like a nutty professor with a beard. And he took the wig off. He said, if anybody bothers him, he's going to tell him cancer. And I said, why are you wearing that then? And there's some kind of theme party they're going to go to about Little Rocky Horror Show or something. So he's wearing it, getting all excited while he's at work, and he's going to go to that. I said, well, okay, that's cool, You can tell it wasn't his hair, but he looked crazy with that wig on. But he said, if anybody asks him, I'll tell him I have cancer, and he had his short hair. But it wasn't bad as that. That's when you're missing hair. So, I wouldn't get away. I just going bald. But, yeah, man, it's a crazy world. The burger place going out of business. They're going to open. They make their own cheese. So we're going to have to get that. I sure you went today. The last time I went, I was disappointed. And I said, well, I won't go there. But the first 2 times are good. So we gave it a shot. Today, it's pretty good. And I told them not to heat my bun. I wanted a regular bun. And they gave it to me. And they do ground chuck too. So this place might be better than where we went today. But we still got to go the other day. My wife enjoys seeing the new places to eat. She loves getting food. Sometimes it's a hit. A lot of times it's a miss. But when you find a good place and you go and it's a miss, you're like, well, luck of the draw, you might as well try a new place. It might be a hit. It might be a miss, even though it costs a fortune. But we'll see. I'm going to like this paycheck I'm going to get, but it don't happen much. 68 and a half hours, man. And I could have worked Friday. I could have got 11 and a half on top of that, but I was wore out. I couldn't do it. Plus, I got all my stuff for the school in. I had to do all that. And I waited till about 8 at night to do it, but I got it in. And they told me all I got to do is sign one more form. And I got to figure out, I guess I could study a little bit, but probably better get my license. And then through that school, that thing I was talking about earlier, forgive me on these initials, the entry-level driver's training or something like that, you got to do that for hazmat too. So you got to do it to get your CDL, and then you got to do it to get your hazmat. And they do it for $200. Now, I heard you can get it done cheaper, but I'm not sure. But if you do that, you'll probably have better representation of getting your grades. I don't know if you got to do it once every 5 years, but you might have to take that thing every 5 years. And then you got to go up to the DMV and take the test, like the permit. But, you make more money. And if you have tanker certification and hazmat, some people hire you without it. But with me, my wife says, I don't want you working every day of the week. And I love my little weekend job. They take care of me. You know, the hardest part, staying awake. But I feel like I'm doing good because, you know, the guys will be doing their thing and a fire start and I put it out. And it could have been really bad. Or I've had to yell, help! And I get help, you know, but when I first started, they'd maybe sit in the break room and other people are doing things. Now they'll call me and other people sit in the break room. So I feel like I'm the higher level fire watcher now. So I like that little job. But, you know, something happened to my little wifey, then I have the CDL. I can always fall back. I might have to do some kind of, whoever hires me, I guess you have to ride with them for a little while training. Because, you know, nobody's hiring for me any of these administrative jobs or work at home opportunities. And, you know, I don't want to work for just $13 or $15 an hour. It ain't really worth it. Plus, you got all her sickness right now. She's got better insurance than I'd make working $60,000 a year. So it's ridiculous. And everything's just so expensive. And she needs so much help. It's good to stay home and be with her. I might get paid to take care of her. You never know. But, yeah, I wanted to share that. All this stuff going on. So it's just crazy. You know, hope y'all are doing good. A lot of people getting to the end of the rope. They're making it, but things are just so tight. They're losing all their savings. They've done cashed out all their 401ks, and no telling where it's going to get. If there's any way you can save anything for a rainy day, save it, because you never know when you're going to need it. It's better to have that little, you know, couple $100 than nothing. And then if you don't have any credit, you kind of really had a bad, especially with student loans coming after you and everybody, hospital bills. But I found out there's a thing called robocall, and I tried it, but it was going to be, I think, $60 a year, but then I couldn't make outgoing calls. But if you got an iPhone, you can turn off unknown calls. So if you don't have them in your contacts, and if it's not a phone that really is recognized, it's, you know, one of them scam calls, you call it back and nobody answers, it'll block those calls. You'll see them pop up like a text message, but then you won't get a ring or anything. And if they leave a voicemail, you'll just get like the little pop-up that your phone's letting you know, but they don't bug you anymore. You know, some of them might be important. So you'll see them pop up, you have to call them back, and then there'll be one of them weird calls, and then you can just hang back up. But if you don't know who they are, you know, it'll save you a bunch of aggravation, and it's built into the iPhone. So I like the iPhone. Plus iPhone, I can make this video right here. It's pretty cool. I've made 16 payments. I got 14 left. Then we'll find out how much it goes down. But I went to this place called, this is a little bit about everything. So, you know, just if you're listening this far, congratulations. But also, I got a screen protector. You know, I got super glue on it, you know, trying to video and mess with super glue, and I cut the screen protector. Well, I went to that place where I got my wife's fixed, and they can't get it to stick on the phone. So I don't know if my phone's bent or the guy didn't know what he was doing. So there's a place closer to me. It's about 40 miles instead of 100 miles. So I might go to them. And you're supposed to have, you know, you buy it, you know, it's kind of high, like $40. And then it's supposed to be lifetime fixing. So see right here, it's got a bubble sticking up, and I had to keep pushing it out. And my wife's did good. So I'm kind of disappointed they couldn't fix my bubbles. Yep. But we're going to get that good cheeseburger. I'll probably upload some stuff. You know, just me making crazy content. Having a good time. And if you like hearing the Bible read, I read the Bible too. Sometimes you'll see it. And I just read the Bible. I can't pronounce all the words, but I'm trying. But I want to go through the Bible, and if there's like 1,500 pages, so it probably take me, because you can't do it every day, probably at least 4 years. I've read it about 3 times already, but it didn't really absorb. Now, what's cool when you're reading the Bible for video, you read it, then you edit it, where you made a lot of mispronounced words and you know how to say them, or you had a lag time, or got choked up, couldn't read, had to take a deep breath, or you're going from this column to the next column, you got a gap, you try to make it flow. So you listen to it again, and then after you make your little edits, chopping this off, chopping that off, you listen to it again. So you read it, and you end up listening about 3 times. So you're going to end up listening to covering the Bible 3 times by the time I get through. So that'd be like twice in my life if I don't kill over before I finish. But yeah, man, just crazy things. Gotta let the little stuff go. Control what you can if you think you can, but don't worry about it. Like, some people get all upset, one little thing breaks, but they forget about all the little things that are working. Because if everything broke, I used to get excited and said, you're in, say you're in high school and you got your clothes and you might have a radio or something. But usually, I didn't have a computer, didn't have a phone, I had a watch. So you had a lot of times you was in your mind. I had a Bible, but you going through things and you're living somewhere, so you don't have to worry about your power or food, stuff like that. But then you get a job, and you get your own house. Now you got to worry about your house. Now you got to worry about repairs. Now you got to worry about power. Now you got to worry about food. You got to not necessarily worry, but you have all these added adulthood responsibilities, and you got to stay calm, not lose your temper when you run across crazy people. You had to learn to accept there's crazy people out there that are running loose, and just stay away from them. You don't want to get caught up all the craziness. Even like they did in the Bible days, or either England, people get caught up, or even the Old West, and they say, hey, let's go rob a bunch of stagecoaches. Well, they make money for a little while. Then you got your other thieves that you're partnering with. They steal from you. Well, then they get a posse to come after you. So, it ain't worth it. Just stay in your own lane. Do good. If you can get out of it, great. But, just don't worry about things that crazy. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. But, I hope everybody's doing good. I hope y'all are able to manage whatever you're doing. There's all kind of things to do. And I was talking to my mom tonight, and she has an opinion on everything, which is good, and I love her. But she'll just tell me stuff. It's like she just tells me stuff to what she thinks she should say. And it's not, I don't agree with it all the time. Sometimes it makes sense, but, just listen to her talk, enjoying listening to her. So I just listen to her say things. It's okay, Mom. Okay. I guess that's what she'd do if she was doing things. Now she's 77 and she has a pacemaker for the rest of her life. They damaged her heart when they did her aorta valve. So, I'm glad to have my mama around. But you got to make your own decisions because you're the one that has to live with them, But it's cool going to get food and just try to enjoy your life. A lot of people want work-life balance. They don't want to work 68 hours a week now. And Europe's been doing this for years. And look how calm they are. They're getting like long vacations and 4-day work weeks or 3-day work weeks. And a lot of people, I was always envious when they worked 3-day weekend and had 4 days off. And then they work overtime. And I'm kind of crazy. You work a lot of overtime, they're going to take probably a third of your check anyway, So if you don't save up during all that overtime, which, a lot of us can't, then you got to deal with the consequences. But y'all let me know. I put some beard balm on it. Try and let it grow. It's getting there. If I pull it out, see how curly it is. It's probably maybe 2 inches long now. It's taking forever to grow. So I don't know if I explained it. I might have started, but my mind's rambling on. The women have a curling iron. Well, this guy told me, the one that said he's going to have cancer, he said on Amazon he seen where you could buy a comb. It's a heated comb. So the comb gets hot, and where these hairs are curly, they would start straightening out. And as it gets longer, your beard will start shedding, and you don't realize it. So that's why you have to start putting that stuff on it to keep it kind of moist and fresh. It's short, it ain't that big a deal, but it starts getting longer. And see, that's the advantage. Nobody being able to hire me. I can grow a beard. I can look as goofy as I want. But my wife's a beautiful soul. She just looks at me with love in her eyes and say, "You are so handsome." You know, whether she's lying or not, it makes me feel good. Or maybe she tells me that because I'm scared or something. Who's this crazy man? But, you know, she hadn't lost her mind, and it's not like Notebook where she wakes up every day, "Who's this guy in my house?" So, you know, maybe I just look comical. And I did trim around my mustache today and my nose hair, so I did a little trimming. But I had all these guys that said, "What you doing here?" "Nothing, man. All I do is get up and comb it, and it just looks like this." I'm like, I said, "Mine ain't gonna do that. Mine's gonna have to have work." Because normally I cut all this mess off, you know, all the way down to here. So I just hadn't done it yet. It's starting to get cold. But that's starting to feel good. So, you know, but it'll be all over the place. So a woolly burger. And they had a lot of retired military around here, and people like my neighbor who tell me to get off their lawn. I mean their road, whether it's their road or not. My other neighbor said she can't tell you to do that. Her road don't start down there to the fence they put up. And I think they know that. But maybe she assumed I was in their road the whole time. So it's a technical issue. But I just try to stay off the road, because why do I need to get their little red dust on my shoes? I can just walk in my own yard and grass. But that explains why I had like 5.31 or something like that. Now I got 5.08. And I was wondering, what they do? Survey the land every time somebody bought it? It took more away in there? But what they did, when they did that cut through, they took some of the land away to make the cut through. So that's why, but at least I don't have to pay for it, you know, on taxes, because anything here, if you got 5 acres, you can pay at your homestead rate, which 4%. But anything over 5 acres is 6%. So they might have saved me $20-something or $6-7 a year by giving them a road. I don't know. So I guess for $6 a year, I'll stay off the road. And they got the little trespassing sign. So if anybody comes on their road and they see the sign, they're going to stay off my woods, but they might go down their road, and then they'll have to come out with shotguns because they didn't put a trespassing sign and they didn't close their gate. So they're worried about the little stuff. I'll stay off their road, but I'll laugh at them when they, "Rah!" Just like when I was younger, you know, this guy was kind of racing me on the interstate, 385 in Simpsonville, and we was going kind of fast, speed limit, not too bad, but a little aggressive. And the guy was going in front of me, and, you know, they started giving the international hand gestures, and I was on the way to work, so I didn't really feel good anyway, and I had to work night shift. And the guy's speeding up, slowing down. Well, he passes me and just slams on the brakes on the side of the road. You know, I think I was going to school, and there's like a white Jeep type, and the guy's probably a Marine or just somebody who was just real venomous. I worked with a guy that was like that, and he would fuss at me, and he would just start jumping down on his hat. And he was a Marine. I was like, why are you destroying your hat? But, just look at him like, he made me more concerned about his welfare than he did getting my attention. Or it's just like, are you okay? It's like, that wouldn't bother me. Why are you jumping up on your hat? You making yourself look stupid. But anyway, that other guy might not have been him. He might just been some guy with too much testosterone. He wasn't a diabetic yet. So, or maybe just had a bad day. And this was like, this was in the 90s. So it's been a while. And it might have just had a bad day. He could have gotten in a fight with his wife, or boss man getting on his nerves. Who knows? So the guy just slams on the brakes, and then I didn't stop. He wanted me to pull over the fight, I guess. I just passed him and went. So, that probably made him more mad, and then I lost him. He didn't bother to come after me nothing. So I went on to school. And then on the back road from school, there was like a 4-way stop you had to go to. This was before they had a lot of these, I'll talk about that in a minute, these the roundabouts. These are the 4 ways where you had to get there first, and hopefully nobody paid attention to who was supposed to cross first. You kind of just gun and stop, and some people would run it, no courtesy. Well, anyway, I thought I seen that guy with a flat tire riding later, because it was probably him. So sometimes you have to be an idiot in order to learn stuff. So I think he learned not to slam on his brakes like that, and I learned that people are crazy. So, let him go on, because he could have shot me or something, and that would have been stupid for him getting all upset. So it's best not to be too confrontational. And, after this thing where everybody was home, people got together, and they got really confrontational. Nobody was afraid to say anything, but you just got to ignore all that stuff and do your thing, because they're probably going to hit their head on the door, or fall down and bump their knee or something. So, people like that always fall down. They don't know no better. But that just made me think. But anyway, when today we went to a restaurant, and they had these, what do you call them? Those turnabouts or whatever, where it's a 4-way stop, but it has the circle. I can't remember what the name of it is right now. But the roundabout, I think it's a roundabout. So it said, go to the roundabout and take the 3rd exit. So you're pretty much going left, but you can't go left because cars are coming that way. So you had to go all the way around and go that way, or take the 2nd exit, which is straight. But there's so many cars coming, and to stop, keep traffic from stopping, they got them. There was like 3 of these things on the way to this little restaurant somewhere in Daring, I think. And what's so funny, somebody told me they really had a good cheeseburger, and I made it the week they closed down. So I got to go next week. Hopefully the owner, he's still there cooking, trying to get everybody. And I said, be like the chef and show them what to do, and he said, I'm going to be in there with a stick, and I'm going to beat them in the head if they don't do it right. I said, yeah, man. I said, keep the food. He said, you ever been here? I said, no, we've never been here. He said, I got all kind of people that come from out of state, South Carolina, to come over here. And I said, man, it's the first time, but we'll be there next Monday. I said, y'all going to be open now, because it's 40-something miles there. He said, yeah, he's a real good guy, but old man time's getting up on him. And he could have been late 50s, 60, or he could have been late 40s. I don't know. He looked pretty good. I mean, he carried the trash, walking around better than me, but he said it's getting too much for him. So I understand. I was doing pretty good till about 50. I failed at my job 3 times. So you start doing that, they consider you accident prone, and a big old lawsuit if you get hurt at work, I guess. They probably wouldn't pay for it. But one guy dropped something real heavy on his foot, shattered it, and they could have fired him, but they paid for his hospital bills, but then, he wasn't there no more. So they were halfway good, just not all the way good. And another crazy thing, I was talking to this guy, and that's why I'm going back around in circles, so I'm sorry, but I was talking to my mom, and we was talking about, I said, well, I'd go this truck in, and if I didn't do it, but just another thing I know, she said, well, nobody could take your knowledge away from you, unless you get Alzheimer's or dementia, which is true. And it kind of gives you perspective when you deal with people or you see things or you see how people are going. You always have to learn the knowledge, and that gives a lot of people a heads up because they've dealt with it. And you can put it in a book, you can teach people, but without actually having, I guess, boots on the ground and being through that stuff, a lot of people ain't going to have a clue what you're doing. They're not going to have the they're not going to have the, I guess, the will to keep going because they're just going to give up because they don't know, they don't have the experience behind them that you did to get through that hard knock and come out and then be successful. They get hit with problems that you didn't really go over. You just told them that success, or these training gurus tell you that, and they made it, but it's how they interact. Like some of these guys made a TV show and they only had $100. George Cadone, that might not be right, but he does like real estate, and I didn't watch it the whole way, but you get the idea. And just by him able to talk and see value in people and see what potential they could have on how he could move stuff, and he knew he had connections, and that's, networking, connections, half the game, and he was able to do it. So these people that, a lot of them that got rich, that, they're salesmen, and they could do it again. You could take everything they have and they could get back that same point. Might take them a little bit longer, but they got the same connections. People want to deal with people they like, and they can get back the same part. So it's kind of cool. It's all what you prioritize in life. So I can't wait to eat this cheeseburger. It's gonna be good. But yeah, sorry I shared so much. I didn't feel like making 20 little videos, and I want to read another page in the Bible on my other channel. It's already like 12:30 at night. I've been talking like 52 minutes. So, I wanted to kind of share and see my mind wasn't losing it. Like this weekend, it was weird. Now, I was a little sleepy, working that many hours and, fighting a little bit of sugar and all that. So sometimes, and that brings up another lie about, somebody said breakfast is the best meal of the day, and somebody did that to sell bacon and all. So people come up with these ideas telling you what they need to do, but they were doing it for money, for their profit. So that's why you just have to research everything, find out what everything is. And there's so many things that are so crazy. It's just crazy altogether. But this weekend, my wife being sick, she talked to me, and Friday, one night, maybe Friday night or something, and or maybe Saturday night, and I had to go to work. Well, she was at a friend's, and she called and said, "You up?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I want to come, just see you." And then she said she wanted to spend some time with me, so we got to go, a little vacation. But she's getting all down about this surgery, and she just won't spend time with me and not even take the dog. So it's kind of serious, and it kind of touched me because normally, even though it's just us, but there's so many distractions, phone and TV, that you're there, but you don't really feel like you're there a lot. Or, with the other person, you're there, but it's like you're just in the same room. But she was very attentive and told me, it's very close. I felt really close and appreciated, and it got me. So maybe feeling like that, I was at work and I was looking around, and all of a sudden I seen I seen my wife, she had like a white dress with flowers, and it was kind of yellow tint, but she looked young, or she looked like herself, but her had full hair, and she was radiant, and she was smiling, like happy. She wasn't in pain or anything. She just standing there full, and I looked at her like, and she faded away. Well, I called my daughter, I called my wife, I called my son. Couldn't get nobody. And I'm wondering, what's going on? So I'm waiting. And then about 30, 40 minutes later, my daughter called me, and then finally my wife called me when she got up, because it was like 8 something in the morning. Oh, no, it was about 10 something in the morning when I was out there. And she told me she's all right. And then I thought, well, maybe it's my mom, because, you get older and how the jawline goes. And called mom. She says she's okay. So, I don't know if my wife upset me getting all serious and her worried about the surgery, and I trying to be strong. I said, well, it's going to be all right. And I believe it will, if it's the Lord's will. But just her getting that serious and worried about it and wanting to go on vacation. And I had to figure out when I'm going to the doctor, I was supposed to go September, but my mom had a procedure, so we had to postpone it for a month. And right now, I don't have any insurance, so I had to do this to get my medicine. And they wanted me to go do something that's going to cost $3,000. I said, well, I don't have any money to pay that. And they said, well, they'll be. And I said, well, how am I going to pay it? They did blood work, $2,200. But because I was a patient at that little clinic, I didn't have to cover it. But he felt my legs, and he said, I don't think you got pulsy legs. So I don't know what they would do. How's that going to affect anything? That might explain the standing issues enough. I don't have a blood clot, because it probably would have killed me by now. I don't know. This ain't medical advice. Just me trying to figure out what's going on, or the doctors trying to figure out what's going on. So anyway, they said I was going to have to pay $3,000, and they'd bill me. They'd give me a discount with no insurance. I was like, right, okay. So many things are so confusing. And like my wife, she has her little insurance, and then they had to switch it to take one part off in order to get maybe some long-term care to help her out. And we're not sure if it's going to pay the hospital bills or the medicine, but she did get medicine, but I don't know if they realized they switched it, because sometime it'll stay a month. I don't know how all this works. But anyway, like I said, her stuff's gold right now. I don't want to mess it up. But if I get my CDL, they always say CDL come in handy as long as you keep it up. Keep your health physical up, and keep your license, pay all your fees and all that. As long as you keep everything up. You might have to do like a recertification, or go take a job that nobody wants to get driving experience. But having a CDL, even if you ain't using it, you go back, will probably be better than having a degree that nobody hire you for. So I got a bachelor's in business administration with the emphasis in accounting. I don't have the experience, but I got the degree. Then I have a associate degree in electronics engineering technology, and then a little certificate where I could claim refrigerant for heating and air, but I didn't get the heating and air degree. And I was a little cocky then. I have a workforce ready program, forklift, all that stuff. But then nobody wanted to give me a job, not that I wanted, or the pay I needed. Who wants to work for peanuts? And then all that time, time's important. Truck driving is real dangerous. And this hazmat stuff is off the chain, It's a lot you got to learn. Stuff spills, you got to call somebody, and you're so responsible for everything. You can't fill up your gas tank. You got to be out there with it, and you can't be close to fires, and, a lot of stuff with hazmat stuff. And then you got to make sure there's different codes you got to learn, and yeah, there's a lot to it. a lot to it. But they pay you more for it. I was hoping just to drive maybe, hopefully I wouldn't mess up. But you haul fuel, or the tankers, I guess. And I didn't want to haul like animal products or anything because they smell really bad. But you haul the fuel, and if I could bend over to get the thing out of the ground where I could put it, and then you gotta not overfill it, or they're gonna call DHEC on your butt. So that's the hard part. And you got to put it in the right tank, or when they go to get gas, it's not gonna be there. And then they're gonna probably fire you because you cost them all this money because you mixed the gas in the wrong tank. So I don't know. I don't think I can get in a trailer without a ladder. So I'd have to carry me a little ladder. But I could do something. I've been watching some of these YouTubers, they do the trucking, and they're pretty good at filming everything they do and making money and talking about everything. But they're out in the middle of nowhere. They're at a truck stop, and you can only drive so many hours. And once you learn all that, I think it'd be kind of lonely a little bit. And with having my grandbabies and all, I'm not a social butterfly, but I'm a family butterfly. And then yesterday, it made it all worthwhile. My grandson, he was being bad, throwing everything off the porch, but then before they left, he climbed up real fast and he kissed me right here on the forehead, and I just like, oh, And then my youngest grandbaby's just crawling. He want to walk over there and pick him up. Used to, he just do that if he had food, but it's like, hey, there's Papa, and you just see the look on their eyes, and it's so bright. And these little kids look up to you. You're a big part of their life, so you gotta be around. And I've worked hard. All my life, so I just goof off a little bit. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just had to not buy anything. And now everything's going up. I quit drinking Diet Mountain Dew for a while, but I've been kind of on the Diet Mountain Dew a little bit, so I got to slow back down. Because them things are went up like $2 for a 2-pack or 3-packs. They were like $11, now they're $13 or more. Or I don't know what it was. My wife said it went up. Just going to Dollar General, getting that, some ice cream sandwiches. The stuff went up to about really high. So yeah, that's why I'm going to post everything we did today, the food and all. People probably, I doubt anybody's going to watch this 102 minutes. They said, this is way too long. But if somebody does, it'd be great where I was just rambling on and, running out of time. I got more time, but hadn't to look for a car, man. I had a mechanic that's done a lot of work. And one guy told me, he said, I can send you what the car's worth in value and all that. And all the tires, kind of got lucky. The only thing I lost was about a tank of gas. But all the tires I had one good tire on there. The rest of them were needing to be replaced. And about 800 miles, I lost a quart of oil. But I got it at 94,000 miles. I had about 166 before I hit the log. And like I said, even this truck driving, whether I do it or not, I'm learning. So, if you got your bright lights on, I might not be exactly right, but I think a quarter mile is about 1,000 feet. What I've seen from GPS and telling you turn, listening to everything. So an eighth of a mile is about 500 feet. So if you got your bright lights on, and they recommend you doing this as a truck driver because you need to have that more distance to stop, and you need to be able to stop within the distance you can see. So if you see something, you need to be able to correct it or avoid it without having a wreck because, it's dangerous driving these things. You got to be on point all the time, especially if you're in the mountains. You got to know where the exits are. There's a lot. Driving's kind of dangerous, but they'll give you a job. And, but it's dangerous. You got to be alert. And the main thing, I get sleepy. And I don't want to be seeing things when I'm driving all that. But if I was paying attention, I could do it. Like I could play a little music on YouTube, and if you play the music and you see like a setting button, you can hit loop and you can listen to the same song and it doesn't play commercials. It just keep playing the same song. You get sick of that, instead of playing all the other songs, but you don't have to worry about commercials. And that'll kind of keep you awake when you're out here waiting for something to happen, if you got a boring job like that. But we'll see. We'll see. I still getting job alerts and everything. But man, just trying to do the grind. Now I got to figure out where to go. Maybe I'll make shorter videos in the future. But I just wanted to put everything together and just share a long video, like a crazy day, trying to get food and burgers and seeing the grandbabies, and thinking about that lady who told me to get off her drive, get off her dirt. When they cut that road, they put all kind of limbs on my property. I didn't care about that. So, and there's a can, but it's in their road, so I guess they can litter their own dirt road. But yeah, other people think it's kind of crazy. My mom said, "Don't mess with that person; they might get shot." I said, "Yeah, I know. They would have shot all of us. They would have ran out of bullets." So my wife laughed at me when I told her. I stepped back and I said, "Well, is this my property?" And I said, sorry to offend you, And she's like, I don't know what you call that when a woman acts that way. What is that? It ain't too much testosterone. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is. You never know. Or maybe she's just having a bad day. And she don't want nobody driving on that road. But her road's starting to wash out anyway, so they're going to have to put more clay on it. It's crazy. And that's so bad. So that's two things. They did that, I believe, right when I moved here. Didn't really care because it's way over there. But now that my kid's going to be over there, kind of concerned. But hopefully they'll be out there and keep all the four-wheelers from riding through. And they're going to get everybody on their road, so they're going to come after people if they're on the road. So as long as they don't come in my yard and run away. So it's kind of like having your neighborhood bulldog. As long as they don't bite you, they're kind of, okay, that's the bulldog down there. We'll let them do their thing. Because they put the no trespassing sign on my trees, but that'll keep people from going on my yard. So it's kind of like a double standard. So my neighbors got it on their fence coming in on my driveway. I thought they did it, but it was the other neighbors. So two neighbors are putting up trespassing signs right beside my property. I'm like, I don't have to do anything. And then they put a pole up and they moved my pole where my land was. So she's saying, all the dirt's yours. So that's cool. So maybe they'll stay out of the woods, even though probably 5 feet of it, well, they put underground power and they got the right of way, but it's 4 foot deep. But if you put overhead, then they got to come on my yard to do that. And it'd be better probably to put overhead. And I think one transformer can feed 2 trailers, but we're probably 5 years ahead of that. So I got to save up money for that too. If I had a job with a 401k, I could transfer my 401ks in there and borrow against it and pay myself back. But my wife says, I've kind of enjoyed you being at home. Now, I got on her nerves a lot, being out of work. But we go out to eat, and I made all kind of video content. And I got all kind of stuff showing, all the stuff. So it's been really good. And I appreciate y'all listening to all this. A lot of people probably went fast forward. And they're like, what in the world? This guy can talk you to death. So that's my job. If I had a job where I could talk to people and talk, I'd get paid $100,000 a year. I'd make all kind of money. But, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. A lot of people see how I'm walking down. People open the doors, and I'm starting to feeling old. It's crazy, hopefully my beard will be good enough for the thing. It don't look too bad. It's starting to shape up, but it's a little curly. But I might have to wait till it gets longer, and then can't see, so I might go back down to. I think it was number 6 on the thing, and which is probably about that long instead of as long as it is now. But I've always wanted. My Uncle Henry had one. I've always wanted like the mountain man beard. Mountain man, living out woods and all that. And then I'm going to keep that cut off and have my beard. And one guy had his beard today. He said, I don't do nothing to it. All I do is comb it. It was sticking out like this. He had a big giant beard and hair too. And I was like, wow, so what do you do to your beard, man? So I'm getting all excited about beards now. So, so my son likes anime. My wife likes wrestling and, some other things. I'm just caring about growing a beard. That's all I care about. Growing a beard and trying to find me a car for my wife. I wanted a truck, but she said, what about if one of the children want to go out to eat? I said, they can ride in the bed of the truck, cover it with a tarp. We'll have a truck. She said, no. And my son like, what are you thinking, Dad? So another thing about me losing my mind, trying to do this channel, make sure I wasn't going bonkers. Seeing my wife at work kind of made me a little leery. I asked her, I said, you okay? When I finally got a hold of her. And she said, yeah. But it's kind of nice, even though it wasn't, I don't think it was fault of my own. I don't want to blame the jab that we got, but, that caused a lot of issues. I don't know if that caused my legs to act like they did. But, it did cause a lot of inflammation, which could have done something. Who knows? You can't really blame it, getting old. But it's gave me a different perspective, looking at everything. And I get to watch a lot of TV, So I've seen all kind of TV shows I wouldn't got to see. I got to make a bunch of YouTube videos, which is really cool. And I enjoy doing that. It's like a little hobby. And I try to get the kids to help me out and do stuff. And there is one thing that I might end up doing, which is really cool. So everything is connected to everything, which is really strange. So never give up, because there's always a reason you're going through what you are, and even if it's not, and if it's aggravating, you're still learning things, because you're going through something that you don't like. You're learning how to deal with a bad situation, and you're learning, your brain's trying to come up with ways to get out of it. So you're learning how to get coping skills and survival skills. So everything is beneficial, even though it causes stress, but you're learning how to survive. So it's always good. It's always good. So doing the CDL, I remember about the lights at 500 feet, and they don't pay that much money. But one guy, he told me a lot of guys with this shutdown, we've had a bunch of people doing what I do, because they wasn't going to make any money because they shut down the plant. So they were in there trying to work. So they were talking, a lot of them, man, had CDL experience or tried to get their CDL, which is really cool. A lot of these guys made a lot more money than me in their working past, Some worked in nuclear power plants, and so they did really well. And I'm like, wow, you guys y'all have done some cool stuff. And then they're in there working with me, and they don't care about a beard there, It's just do your job. Do your job, do what you're supposed to do, and keep going, which is really cool. So I really like it. It's the best job I've ever had. So I don't want to quit no matter what I do. I'll be there on the weekends, doing my little job. Fire, squirt it. Yeah. But it's surreal, man. It's surreal. But they don't pay as much as they were during the pandemic. They were giving a lot more money. But there's a lot you got to learn. And I've been trying to figure this out. I don't have the money to do it, which is the problem. But you got to get if you already know how to do it, then you know what you need to do. But I think when you drive a truck and you become an independent, you got to get an authority. Now, I don't know what I'm talking about. So if you know, correct me, or maybe I'm hitting some of the nails on the head. Who knows? But basically, you got to get an authority. I've heard that from some YouTube, but I think it means you got to get a DOT number. And when you're on the road hauling goods, you're held to a lot of legal stuff. So you got to make sure you have a legal right to do it. So you got to get an authority, a DOT, and all these regulations. Well, you kind of got to do that when you're private driving a Sprinter van. Or if you get your own rig, then you get these things. They got load boards, and I found one. I think it's IDA, and it just popped up on one of these, kind of like the internet does when you have all these stories and things just pop up, and they usually pop up about, it's kind of like newsworthy, but it's kind of gossip, so you click on it. At least they get me sometimes, time wasters. Some of it's good, they talking about all this stuff with U.S. going to war with China and Russia, and so you click on that, and everybody says, well, you mess with me, I'm going to get you. But this one was talking about hauling your own stuff like a Sprinter van, and what you had to do. Very basic. There's a lot more to it, but you had to get your own authority to DOT, LCL, and then once you get all these requirements, there's load boards. And depending on what you're doing, if you're just doing like individual pickup, $45 a month, I think. So you $45 a month, and you can't just take the load and get payment. You got to bid on it. So there's 10 of you guys bidding on it, and everybody bids a cheaper price. Whoever bids on it's going to get it. So if you got your truck payment, insurance payment, and all this money a month, you got to make good money, and you got to take a good bid. But if you got a used truck and you're just doing it to survive, maybe put a little bit of money in your pocket, you can work for less. You can work when you want to. And if you live close to the area, you only want to make $500 a day, 2 loads or 1 load, and you make $500. Somebody else might need $1,000 to do that because they got a bigger rig, or somebody got a truck and they could pick up 2 or 3 of them things and go, instead of having to just pick up 1 load. So you're doing more work and making more money because you're able to get more, but you're getting paid less. And it's cutting a throat at all these people. And these load boards now, they're taking up a good bit of the industry, what I see. And even the trucking companies now aren't making enough money to keep the overhead, because your own authority, I believe you got to have like $10,000 a month insurance. And your truck payment, some of these lease owner operators, if I'm saying it right, where they're leasing the truck, so I don't think they're buying it. And I believe they get unlimited miles, but it's like $1,800 a month. So you got to make like, $12,000 a month before you start making any money. So you're already in the hole every month. That's a scary thing. So a lot of these guys, I don't know what their prices is, but, as consumers or individuals, we go to the store, and if they're cutting these loads and getting cheap, why ain't the food prices getting cheaper? All these trucking companies go out of business, and they're cutting their prices so hard where they're not making as much money. Why ain't the food prices coming down in the stores? So that's why I feel like it might not be design, but it's greed. I heard people were burning whole crops and all. They only got a limited amount of food, so they're going to raise the price to make more money. They're not wasting the other food. Just stupid stuff. It's all greed, man. That's, it might not be by design, but they might be just doing it to make money. Like our Congress was found, a lot of Congress senators on the boards, and then they passed the laws on those boards and then they'd buy stock that was in that market. So they had an inside advantage. Well, we're going to change the law. Well, this stock's going to go down or up. So we're going to make money on it. And they've always done this, but so much information gets exposed. Well, what can you do about it? And they were just making tons of money, and they're like 80 years old. You know, what's the point? What are you going to do with that money? You ain't going to live to 110. So the money's going to go somewhere. So it's a redistributing of wealth, but it's not necessarily, well, I guess it is being done on purpose, but somehow they've been able to do it right and open and just take all the money, and people striking, like somebody said, I don't know if it was $1 billion, but it was high. I might be wrong on that. But like some of these car places, the CEO making $1 billion. Now he's not doing a physical thing in there. Probably didn't lift 10 pieces of paper. All these workers working to death, 60, 70 hours a week, no life. They're payable slave, making maybe 40, 50, 80,000, something like that. Other guy takes vacation, probably works 3-day work week, probably don't even work all that time, maybe 2 or 3 months a year, who knows? And he's got a lot of stress, but it's based on the economy. He's CEO, making $1 billion a year, or 25 million, 100 million, top person. All the little guys ain't getting that. So, I don't know what it'd affect everybody if everybody got paid good, like UPS getting 150,000 a year. So if they making that kind of money, then we're getting paid peanuts. So I said, ain't nothing to worry about. And they said, you will own nothing and be happy. So that's what they're going to try to do. The more people coming up, and even where Nikki Haley said that about it's too young to retire at 65. She said, it wouldn't affect the older folks. But it will. You might still get your benefit, but it's going to raise the inflation where it's not going to make as much. Like everything doubles. So if you retired with this much money, some of them only making $800 a month, and then everything doubles. They don't have no cable. They got a phone, no computer. They're just cut off from society, just trying to survive. So we're going to get some chickens. It might cost money, especially these one they call them meat chickens. And they look like something out of a cartoon, but they got feathers on them. They're like little stocky little, is that thing alive? But they won't have kids. They're just bred to be meat, but they're like very hungry. And this guy said these are the best chickens you can ever get. So, and he told me how to treat them. I don't know if I can do that. Maybe I talk my daughter into doing it if we can get it. But I got to make it grandbaby proof, grandson proof, animal proof, hunter proof, hawk proof. So it might not happen. But if it happens, I'm going to have some chickens. I'm going to have me some eggs. So that's going to be cool. Look for that in the future. One day in the great beyond. But yeah, my mind's pretty much okay. And I wrote down some stuff I needed to do. Need to know when my doctor's appointment was, or I guess my doctor's appointment. And then I need to know when the trucking thing. I think I got to November 20th. And what's cool about this, 2 weeks, you do your studying. And I'll probably wait till I get my license before I go back and do the hazmat and all that. And then once I get all that done, then I might try to get a little part-time job. I'd like to work 2 or 3 days a week. That'd be cool. And then work the weekend job. Maybe 2 days a week. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to be gone from my wife too long. So I wish I could make money doing something and be here that was profitable and didn't take all my time. Just try to make it. Sorry for the long video, but I wanted to share, get all my thoughts, and one day, my kids will watch this, maybe, if I'm not here, and I wonder what Grandpa was like, and they can watch the movie of Grandpa rambling on today, dealing with eating and food and cars and seeing the grandbabies and not caring about all this crazy stuff that doesn't really matter anyway. And just trying to figure it out. We all try to figure it out no matter where we're at. And then some people get a lucky break, and other people figure it out, you know. So hope y'all doing good. Hope y'all figure it out. Whatever y'all doing, hope it's going good. Thank y'all for watching. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And subscribe to my other channel too if you like hearing somebody try to read a bunch of words in the Bible. You know, I want to get that read. I'm on the book of Mark right now. I started with Matthew. In this book, I tried doing Genesis, and I lost the Bible. So a year later, I started doing it again. So maybe that's why I'm out of work. Maybe my wife, because I put in for so many jobs, like 204. And, you know, I got that little job doing the porter job, but that was a crazy job, and my back was hurting. And my wife's real sick. She needs me. So I feel like it's, you know, the Lord doesn't really want me to be at work and her need me and pass away. So I feel like I've been kept from getting a job. But like the CDL training, some reason we're drawn to it. So it should come in handy somehow. And this one guy was telling me he had a CDL, and he said, hey man, if they won't hire you the traditional route because of the insurance, he said, get with a private company. Get with somebody who will let you drive, you know, maybe drive one day a week or drive a couple hours. And if I have I don't know how it works, but you know, if I have something where I could clock my miles and write all that experience down that I drove, and then eventually when I get to the point, I could drive a truck, one of their trucks. You know, they might need me, might retire, and I'd have the experience because they know I drove with them. You know, something like that. So there's still a way to get local if you don't have to, if you ain't struggling from hand to mouth, you know, every week, and you got a little room to play with. And that's why I really don't want to get a car payment, even though I could probably get a better car. I'd rather take the money I get and pay cash if I can, but we'll see. And another good thing with the car, I took pictures and all, but something hit the car where the door's not won't open like it should. So I'm probably going to get dinged at that. I didn't get the insurance. But here's the cool thing. I got Capital One credit card, a MasterCard. And there's a benefit when you rent a car. It'll cover you for excess stuff up to your deductible. So I don't think they'll do it. But if there is a problem, I got credit card backing me up. So it's got some advantages to having one if you can keep from running it up, which is very hard to do. But even if you do, you still got the advantage and keep the change for emergencies, you know, like insurance policy or something like that. Or if you run out of credit, you can cash it in so you can get back home. But yeah, I'll try to make shorter videos because see, this one would have been, if I did 3-minute videos, it took forever and I just kept rumbling on. So I don't know how many days this is going to take to upload. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video and share it. And I think I talked about everything that's currently going on right now. The trucking school, going on vacation, my wife worried, you know, trying to get the trailers out here and all that. Because, you know, I think just even going half well, say if a well's 12,000, the 6,000 well, 3 to 4,000 for septic, and then you got to clear the land, and you know, it's maybe 12 only in your own land, maybe 12,000, and then the tax is gonna go up once we put 2 trailers up. And I told them they're gonna have to be responsible for their portion. Then you're gonna have to get a trailer. So if you get a trailer for 3,000, if it's livable, and it's gonna cost you, I think they said 3,000 to move it and put it on blocks, and then if it has to have skirting, and then you had to have power hooked up to it. So that could cost you 20 grand, you know, even having your own land. Maybe less, maybe more, just depends on the deal you get, who does it. So that takes time to do all that. So, yep. But we'll see. Then people will probably be retired by the time, and then they'll be out there walking the road with a tape measure. You walked on my road. Get off my road. The grandkids be in high school. we're not on your road. But anyway, you know, like the old people, get off my lawn, get off my lawn. But yeah, you know, y'all take it easy. Thank you for letting me ramble on, and we'll talk at you later.